The peaceful crowd, ambushed with a firebomb and a makeshift flamethrower today, was gathered on the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, as they do each weekend, to bring attention to the hostages held by Hamas. 6 people are hospitalized with burns. The horrors being described by Colorado's leaders as a hate crime. The FBI calls it an act of terrorism as well. All of the victims are older people. Investigators say one has critical injuries, and friends tell us among the victims is a Holocaust survivor.
Investigators believe the 45-year-old suspect acted alone. He is in custody tonight. Tonight, our crews are learning more about that suspect. We're hearing from witnesses who saw the attack happen in real time and speaking with Jewish leaders who organized the march today.
We begin with our Mark Salinger, who spoke with a witness who was there early this afternoon outside the old Boulder County Courthouse there on Pearl Street when the attack happened.
Literally seconds after the attack began. We want to show you parts of these videos and these conversations, but they may be hard to watch. We feel it's important to share this information, though, however.
Stay away, stay away.
In the seconds after the attack, Mohammed Solomon paced and yelled, "Free Palestine." The victims on Pearl Street lay feet away from where he was arrested.
It was the most horrific thing that I've ever seen in my entire life.
He's right there. He's on the ground right there.
A witness named Brian took these videos as he got water from a fountain and doused people who'd been set on fire.
If you could think of a butter knife pulling up skin, that's kind of what it looked like. Like someone had spread the skin off of these people's legs. Her hair was like singed. She had like this platinum blonde hair. You can just see like it was just singed, like burnt hair all on the top of it. She like her clothes were basically burned off of her body.
Brian saw Israeli and American flags scattered on the ground next to what looked to be Molotov cocktails and gasoline.
You could see there was already like an exploded Molotov cocktail on the ground in one of those videos, like in front of me. But I don't think anyone wanted to like rush this guy because they didn't know what else he had in his pockets, how he was going to light this.
6 people were burned in an attack right in the heart of Boulder.
People were just like in shock and just not like kind of writhing in pain in some cases. But it was pretty horrific.
Brian says the man was wearing a bright orange vest and had a backpack filled with what looked to be more gasoline. Boulder police said he used a makeshift flamethrower as well as another incendiary device, think Molotov cocktail, things like that.
Mark, these are folks who are out there weekend after weekend after weekend, not protesting, not shouting, they're not carrying protest signs or whatever. They just kind of peacefully gather to call community attention to this.
We're told that they're there every Sunday afternoon, and they're raising awareness for hostages held in Gaza, Israeli hostages. They carry Israeli flags as well as American flags and carry pictures of the hostages currently being held in Gaza.
All right, Mark, thank you.
Our Angeline McCall joins us now after learning more about the members of the Jewish community who were targeted today. Angeline?
Kyle, we know that 6 people were burned, injured as part of this attack, and we know one of them is a Holocaust survivor. One of her friends tells me that she is the kind of woman that goes around to different synagogues and churches, sharing her life experience and always trying to do what's good and what's right, and that's why she was out there today. Now, we spoke with a man named Omer, and he is also a leader. He was leading the march here this afternoon, and he says that the man who threw these Molotov cocktails, well, he believes that they were targeted and that they were scouted out, and this man knew exactly the route they were going to take as well.
What happened today that someone waited for us over there, targeted our group. I've been waiting and prepare Molotov cocktail and gasoline to attack us.
Now, Omer says that he saw 5 people who were burned and that but we do know from Boulder police that there are 6. Now, because the Molotov cocktail was sort of thrown at the ground and the fire spread onto their legs, his main concern at that time was pulling people out of the fire. He also says that he wants people to know that the people who show up to this march are dedicated. They do this in the rain, the snow, always keeping it peaceful. They've been doing it since 2023 to spread awareness about the hostages held in Gaza.
No one can act in violence, and I think maybe this is my message, because this is terrifying and people got burned, severely burned, and their life changed forever. They will be angry and people will, take it personally, and I understand, but we need to always remember our values, and our values is not violence.
As you heard him say, their values are not violence. That's why they've stayed peaceful, and they have also tried to limit their interactions with any kind of hecklers as well while they've been doing this week to week. He also wants to say, you know, we asked him, would you go back out next week given all that this happened and also given your experience? And he said, as far as he's concerned, the hostages are still being held, and that's their main purpose of why they're out here, so he would go back out. But right now the organization itself across the country has paused marches to assess security. Kyle, Jenny.
You know, Angeline, as you point out, or as he mentioned to you, you know, Boulder's like a lot of communities where there's going to be a variety of different viewpoints about what's going on in Gaza right now. And it's not unusual to have speech met by opposing speech, but speech met by sudden violence is just an entirely different thing.
Entirely different. And even when we were doing our interview with Omer, he said everyone's entitled to their opinions. You know, what we are here to do is to keep things peaceful, and no one deserves hate, no one deserves violence, and that's what unfolded out here in Boulder today. And you know, people are very seriously hurt, and you know, we don't know yet what is going to happen to one or a few of them who are very severely injured from this.
That's right. And Angeline, the other point we make here is this wasn't the first or the second or the third weekend they were out there. This has been weeks and weeks in multiple cities around our metro. And even witnesses have said they have seen some of the same people out there week by week, that this was a known group on that mall every weekend. Angeline, thanks for your reporting tonight. This has been a difficult day for the Jewish community. We spoke today with the wife of a rabbi at the Boulder County Center for Judaism. She says she cannot believe something like this could happen here.
Boulder's a beautiful place. People are friendly, they're kind, and this was out of left field. This is not something that we ever dreamed would be in our neighborhood or in our backyard. And it's horrific, as well as we can't wrap our head around it because this is not Boulder. The Boulder Jewish community has felt safe in Boulder, and it's been a really great place, and it still is. Just one maniac, one guy who doesn't, you know, like what was he, like why? You know, why the hate?
On the topic of safety, state leaders are now directing law enforcement to increase security at Jewish houses of worship. We'll have more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
The suspect, who was seen in a number of eyewitness photos and videos, is a man originally from Egypt, according to NBC News. The immediate involvement of federal law enforcement opens up the potential for federal terrorism charges. Tonight, the FBI is at a home in Colorado Springs that we believe to be connected with that suspect.
9 News Investigates' Chris Vanderveen joins us tonight, talking more about what we've learned about the suspect. His name, Mohammed Sabri Solomon, 45 years old. Chris.
Jenny, the White House says in a social media post this evening, says he came to the United States on a visa from Egypt, overstayed the visa, got a work permit. It's not certain if or when it lapsed. None of that would have made him a priority for deportation, even by current White House standards. NBC News reports while it's early, there's nothing really to indicate he planned this with anyone else. Our sister station in Colorado Springs is at a home where records show Solomon lived. So is the FBI. They've been there for a number of hours. The Boulder County District Attorney said this afternoon they're still sorting out the best way, how and where to move forward with the criminal case. Solomon, shown here right after the attack, yelled, "Palestine is free." It's clearly part of the reason why the feds are calling this a politically motivated terrorist attack. I also want to call your attention to one more thing at the scene. This is a still picture of a plastic container. Witnesses say Solomon wore it at one point, also wore what you can sort of make out as a hint of orange. Witnesses say that was an orange vest. Federal investigators say they're exploring the possibility that Solomon wore this in an attempt to blend in before the attack. This all suggests a level of planning, at least on his part. The case now heads to the courts. As of last check, he has been booked into Boulder County Jail. No specific court date is set. That will come soon. As for Solomon, for today, there was no criminal record. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.
Chris, thank you. So in a moment, we are going to hear both from the FBI's local special agent in charge, as well as the governor, about new efforts to keep the Jewish community safe from anti-Semitic violence.
Yes, we will continue to keep you updated on this developing story, both on air and on 9news.com.